Alright guys, so trading the break and retest of a key level is one of my favorite setups. In fact, I only traded break and retest for the whole month of April. And even though it wasn't perfect, I ended up making around $28,000 in profit. Had around a 60% win rate with around a 1.3 risk reward ratio on average. So what I want to do in this video is show you a full tutorial on exactly how I trade break and retest. The most important thing is looking for a key level that we want to break and retest. I'm going to show you which key levels I look at and also the confirmations I use to make sure the break is not a fake out and we're looking for proper confirmation when we actually go to retest the level. So super excited to show this to you guys. Like I said, this is one of my favorite setups to trade and you'll see why in this video. All right guys, so when it comes to trading break and retest, it's actually a very simple strategy and there's two main things you need to have. Okay, so the first thing is you need to have a key level. Right, so when we're trading a break and retest, I've heard the saying that old resistance becomes new support. Old support becomes new resistance. That's exactly what a break and retest is. We're breaking through resistance, then we're retesting it and seeing if it acts as support. The first question comes to mind is, okay, which key levels are we looking at? Are we doing any kind of support and resistance on any time frame? Are we only doing demand zones? There's a bunch of different levels you can do this with. Obviously, there's no right or wrong answer. Me personally, I only like to do this with 1-2 levels max. And in fact, in April, I only did this with one of the key levels I'm about to show you. So what the first one is, and my favorite personally, is going to be the 15-minute opening range. Okay, so the 15-minute opening range is the first 15 minutes of price action on the New York Open. So all you have to do is mark out the highs and lows of the first 15 minutes of price action. So for example, if we go over to NQ today, for example, as you can see, we go over to a 15-minute time frame, right? And what we're doing is we're marking the highs and lows of the first 15-minute candle, which is right here. So I'd simply go over here, draw a horizontal line on the highs, and then draw another horizontal line on the lows of this first 15-minute candle. And this becomes our key level. And we're looking for a break and retest of one of these lines, whether it's a trade up to the long side or a trade down to the downside, depending on which one we break and retest first. Now, the next key level you can use, which also works really good, is using yesterday's highs and lows. Okay, so marking the high of yesterday and also the low of yesterday. These are going to be levels with lots of liquidity in them, meaning they're going to be key levels, right? If we break through them and we have the confirmation, chances are that old resistance or that old high is going to turn into a new support and vice versa on the lows. All right, now the next thing we're looking for is once we have those key levels marked, and this is something I just do, every morning, is I'm marking out the 15-minute opening range. I'm marking out yesterday's highs and lows. Okay, this is pretty easy to do. This takes you less than 5 minutes every single morning. Next thing we're doing is we're looking for confirmations. Okay, so the first thing I want to see is I want to see a 5-minute break, right? I want to see a 5-minute close with elevated volume, ideally over one of these key levels. Okay, so whether that's a 5-minute close over yesterday's highs, yesterday's lows, or the 15-minute opening range. All right, so if you look to the right of my screen, as you can see, I have everything labeled right here on these horizontal lines. So this is what your chart would look like before the market opens, right? I can have all this marked out, well, technically within the first 15 minutes of the market opening. I can have the orb, low and high. Right here, we got the opening range. Now we're waiting for a 5-minute close on one of these lines, right? So you can see the first 5-minute close we got was actually right here at 7:55 my time. So that's kind of the first step to my checklist. Now, once I get that 5-minute confirmation with volume on one of our key levels, the next thing I'm looking at is obviously, right? This is the break, right? We're doing a break and retest. Okay, so this is the break. Now we're looking for the retest. Now I like to go on a 1-minute time frame personally to do this. You don't have to use a 1 minute, but this is personally what I like to use. Right? I also like to use Heikin-Ashi candles on the 1-minute retest. I personally just like using Heikin-Ashi candles more, especially on the 1-minute time frame. So I'm gonna go back to yesterday, right? And now we're looking for a 1-minute retest. Remember, we closed below the opening range low key level at 7:55 my time. So that was during these periods. As you can see, we broke through. And then once we retested the low, as you can see, we immediately started shooting up. See, there's no retest. What we want to see on a retest is we want to see this old support act as new resistance. As you can see, it's not acting as resistance at all. It's shot straight up. So in that case, we take a step back and we redo step number 1, right? We're back in the range. Now we wait for 5-minute confirmation again. So I'd simply go back to the 5-minute time frame. And as you can see, we never broke through. This candle closed way up here. Okay, once the next candle we broke through, this is right here. This candle closed at 8:35 my time. So now we go into the 1-minute chart. We see, okay, where did 8:35 happen? As you can see, that was right here. We broke through and now we're retesting the range. As you can see, we started dipping down into this range a little bit, but we quickly got back up. Okay, so you can see we closed back above here and then we dipped down one more time and we closed back above here again. So keep in mind, it is okay to dip into the range a little bit. We just want to see if it gets bought back up. And an easy way to tell is looking at these 5-minute candles, right? As you can see, every time we dip down here, right, we had a long wick, close back above the orb. Had a long wick, close back above the orb, right? This is a good sign that buyers are defending this level, okay? This level is acting as, it was resistance, right? We can see that right here. Now it's acting as support. So that will bring us to my last confirmation. And this last confirmation is actually an indicator I like to use. It's a volatility momentum indicator called the Williams VIX Fix. So I simply like to add this onto the 1-minute time frame. So you just search in Williams VIX Fix and it's going to be bottoms and tops. And I have all the default settings on here. I don't really change anything. All I'm looking for when we are retesting on the 1-minute is I'm looking for these green bars to show up. So these green bars basically represent volatility. And when the green bars drop to gray, right, that basically tells us that volatility is slowing down, which also tells us sellers are starting to get exhausted. Okay, so if sellers are getting exhausted, once buyers step back in, we should see another rotation up since we are at that key level, right? So basically, once we go from a green bar to a gray bar, it automatically makes a colored candle. So you can see this candle's pink. And now once we get that colored candle right here, I'm looking for a close above this candle. Okay, so I simply want to see a close above this candle. So we have that color candle. As you can see right here, we didn't close above it, didn't close above it. We got another green candle right here. All right, and then this momentum dropped a little bit. We got another colored candle. So now we're simply waiting for a close above this colored candle right here. Okay, and we got it right here, right? We simply got the close above on this candle right here. And this is actually where I enter my trade, right? You can see this is my entry point. And all I'm doing is I'm always putting my stop loss right below the pullback low, assuming that this low should hold. And we should see a rotation up. Whether you want to ride this trade up to a 1-to-1 risk reward, a 1.5, or even a 2R. So as you can see, that was the setup. We're simply looking for a key level. We're looking for a 5-minute break of that key level. We're looking for a 1-minute pullback retest. And we're looking for confirmation on that pullback with the Williams VIX Fix indicator. Now, if you want to use a different indicator for this, maybe you want to use a MACD, maybe you want to use a stochastic RSI for your confirmation. That's up to you, right? This is just an optional confirmation that I personally like to use that makes most sense to me. This is what I use. So like I said, usually there's more setups if you use the 15-minute opening range, but also sometimes there's going to be setups on the yesterday's highs and lows. So let's go and try to find an example of one of these trades, okay? So I'm just going to go back a few days. Okay, so these days there would have been no trades. As you can see, we never broke yesterday's highs. And then this, we never broke yesterday's lows. So we're going to go back again. As you can see, yesterday's highs was around right here. And it looks like we possibly would have retested this. So this line would have been right here. Again, I'm just marking the highs from this day if we're to trade this day, okay? So you can see yesterday's highs right here, right at market close, okay? And then we go over to this day. As you can see, maybe we had a trade on the 15-minute opening range here. I'm not sure. But let's say we're just trying to trade yesterday's lows and highs. Well, obviously, we never tested yesterday's lows. This is way down here. But we did break above yesterday's highs. Okay, so where did we first break above it? Where did we get that 5-minute confirmation, right? Once we get the key level, wait for the 5-minute confirmation. Looks like we got that around right here at 10:25, or this candle right here at 10:30. So now we simply go into the 1-minute time frame and we're looking, okay, where did that happen? This is right here at 10:30 my time. As you can see, we broke through it. We did retest it, but using my confirmation specifically, I never saw proper confirmation. We never got those momentum bars. So I personally would have avoided this trade. Now we did see it right here, right? We broke through it more. We retested it again. As you can see, we started getting these green momentum bars. Volatility died down, signaling to us that sellers are getting exhausted, and we can see buyers are stepping back in. This created a colored candle. You can barely see it, but this created a colored candle. And now we're waiting for a close above this colored candle. Okay, and you can see we got this right here on this candle here. Okay, so this is where you would have had your entry. You would have entered right here. So simply enter right here at the top of the Heikin-Ashi candle. You put your stop loss on the pullback low, and then you can ride it up to your target, whether you want that to be a 1-to-1, 2-to-1, whatever it is. Obviously, all of these risk rewards have different pros and cons. But you can see this would have got you a near 3R risk reward. And that was a trade. As you can see later in the day, we did the same thing, right? We pulled back to here again. We got all kinds of momentum. We retested here. We pulled back a little bit lower than I like to see, but we did retest, and we didn't get confirmation until this color candle. We closed above it on this candle right here. And then as you can see, stop would have been down here, and we ripped up again. Okay. So the most important part about this setup, guys, is for one, I like to use the Smolin VIX Fix confirmation, but also it's the key levels. Okay, I wouldn't recommend taking break and retests on just random support and resistance areas that happen on a 5-minute time frame or something just really basic, right? Because that's when you're going to run into a lot of fake outs, right? We want to take them on those key levels. Me personally, I like using the 15-minute opening range the most, but as I just showed you, you can also use yesterday's highs and lows as well. Now guys, since this is a pretty simple setup, I'd like to make it easier on myself, and what I did is I just created my own indicator that basically puts everything I shared with you on this video into an indicator. So we basically wrote a code that marks out the 15-minute opening range, the highs and lows automatically. It automatically looks if we close above that key level. It automatically looks at if we retest it. It automatically looks at the Williams fix. And again, all this is put into a code, and then it'll signal when we're actually getting a setup, whether it's for a long trade or short trade. Now, keep in mind, I only have this indicator working for the 15-minute opening range right now. Maybe eventually in the future, I'll add the yesterday's highs and lows, but for right now, it's working great for the 15-minute opening range. Again, pretty much the whole month of April, I only use this indicator because again, this is my exact strategy. I just put it into a code. So we can see if we pull this up, this is pretty cool. If you guys want to make this a lot easier for yourselves, again, you don't have to use this. I just broke down the whole strategy to you guys for free, but the indicator obviously does make it a lot easier. So what I can do is I can delete this off my chart. I can just have a plain chart. If you're wanting this white line, it's just an EMA. But I can just go over to my indicator. As you can see, this is made by me. And I'm just going to add this on. This is called OTS signals. Okay, so you can see I got the indicator added on. Again, it's down here, just called OTS, and it'll automatically plot out the 15-minute opening range low. That's this red line, and this 15-minute opening range high. That's this green line. I did not mark these lines on the chart. As you can see, it automatically does it for you, right? So this is the indicator. As you can see, they pull up. Today there was no signals, there's no confirmations, but if I go to yesterday, which is the first example we had in this video, if you remember, right, this is the trade I took. As you can see, it marked out the first 15 minutes of price action, and then once we got above it, we retested, we got this colored candle, right, we automatically have this Williams VIX Fix on the bottom, and then we got to close above that colored candle, and it signals a buy. Okay, so this is where I got long. I had my stop below the lows, and then you can ride this up to whatever your target is. I typically like going for a 1.5 risk reward. Some people like doing a 1. Some people like doing a 2-to-1. So you can see that's what it looks at. And then this is on NQ. Let me go over to ES. So I'm just going to go over to ES. It also works on here pretty well. And if I go, I don't think there's any setups today. Okay, you can see there's no setups today. So today was a little choppy. So I didn't take any trades personally today since there was no signals. But if we go back to yesterday, as you can see, looks like we had one buy signal here. And let me just delete this. These are some old levels we had. But anyways, there was one signal yesterday on ES. As you can see, it says buy right here. Had a decent run up. We go back to the previous day. We had a buy signal right here. As you can see, signal right here. We got a decent run up from this. As you can see, we went up around 15 points on ES, which is pretty good. Other than that, there's nothing else for the day, but this is the break and retest, right? We're marking out the opening range. We're retesting it. We got the confirmation on the Williams fix, and we're getting that buy signal. Go back to the day before this, and we can see no signals on this day. So not only does this strategy, not just the indicator, but this strategy really helps you keep out of the market when the strategy is not in place, right? I always tell people a good strategy keeps you out of the market. It doesn't just give you winning trades, but it's made to keep you out of the market most of the time. And that's our goal as traders, is to only take the high quality setups, right? So let's go back to the previous day here. As you can see, it had 2 buy signals, right? So we had this first buy signal right here, had a nice run up. We retested again, had another buy signal, and had a huge run up once again. So this is my trade from last Friday. And you can see this works really well, okay? It's very consistent. Again, there's not trades every day, which I personally like. I only like taking a few trades per week. But here's what I want to show you. I want to show you a short example, right? The short example is the same exact scenario, right? We're marking the high and the low the first 15 minutes of price action. We're waiting for a break below. Then we're waiting for a retest and then confirmation. Boom, got a sell signal here. We can write it down to your target, right? Whether that's a 2-to-1, 1.5, you kind of get the point. So anyways, guys, that's going to be the full strategy on how to trade break and retest. Like I said, this is one of my favorite setups. I only trade this for the whole month of April, ended up making around $28,000 in profit. And actually, all those trades were taken just taking these signals on the OTS indicator. Like I said, I just explained exactly how the indicator works. You can do this without using the indicator. But if you want to make this a lot easier for yourself and just have more confidence in your trades by seeing that little sell signal or seeing that little buy signal. Like I said, I recently did just create this indicator around 2 months ago. And so far, those past 2 months, it does have around an 80% win rate with a 1.5 risk reward on average. So it's working really well. Again, you can use this strategy without using the indicator. The indicator just makes it a lot easier. If you guys do want to make it easier for yourself and you want to get more information on the OTS indicator, I have a completely free video demo that walks through it, how to get access to it, more information about it, how it works more, and also the results from the past 2 months. All you have to do to watch that free demo to get access to the indicator is go over to the first link in the description below this video, or just head over to otsignals.com. Once again, that's otsignals.com. That being said, guys, as always, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in my next video with another day trading lesson.